and then make it pay Gavin $1 million, because the hash will look completely different. Not just 2 digits different, but like totally different. So if you have a private key, you can use it to encrypt the hash of your message. The receiver then decrypts the hash and takes the original message and performs the hash again. Since the hashing is not secret, if the decrypted hash and the new independent hash are equal, this receiver knows only the sender of the corresponding private key could have signed it. Now note, the original message may not have been encrypted. Imagine if you're doing racing results to a casino. If the racing results are not secret, you read them in the newspaper, but the casino needs to know it came from the race course and not from some random guy who's placing bets and then walking away with the money. So Ellis creates the message: send lawyers, guns, and money. Ellis uses the message as input and creates the hash, some little string. That's the normal hash is much longer than this. I'm just using like a short example. Ellis then encrypts that hash with a private key, giving another string. Now Bob gets a message and does the same hash, giving the same answer as you saw in step 2. He then decrypts the one he got from Alice, because she used the blue key, so he can use the red key now. And that result matches the result from step 4. So Bob knows that nobody except Alice could have sent that message. Alice can't repudiate that message later, because anybody can look at it and see that it was signed with Alice's private key, if they follow the same steps as Bob has done. Now suppose Bob wants to get Alice in trouble. He changes the message to read send lawyers, drugs, and money, and publishes it online. The hash of that message is now different. And since Bob doesn't have Alice's private key, he cannot sign that hash to prove it is authentic. Alice can deny she wrote it, and anyone can independently verify that she's telling the truth. However long Bob tries to come up with a different message that has that same hash, he will not succeed. The hash is collision resistant. Now suppose your Facebook survey is storing the hash of everyone's password, which is good practice, instead of storing the actual password itself. Unfortunately, 3 million users have the password, winter is coming. So an attacker can hash a number of probable passwords, and if he gets the password file, he can compare that file to the hashes that he's pre-calculated. Once he knows the hash of winter is coming, he knows the password of nearly 4 million users, which is not really good. So one solution is to store a random salt, which is just a number, with each username, and then the salt is pushed into the hashing algorithm, and each user will then basically have a different hash, whatever their password is. So instead of having 3 million instances of the same hash of winter is coming, they will have 3 million different ones. So even if the hacker cracks one person's password, it's not going to help him get anybody else's password. He's going to have to do all that brute force work again for every password. PBKDF2, I don't even know what that is, but anyway, that's a standard which uses rehashing thousands of times to make it really difficult for an attacker to break into it.
Password-based key derivation function.
Thank you, Dawn.
If you're wondering.
Okay, so Bob sends a message to Thorondor, king of the eagles. Mallory is a keen eagle hunter and is hated by the eagles. Mallory is able to intercept some of Bob's messages, but he cannot read or falsify them. Now, authentication means the sender and receiver are correctly identified and cannot be impersonated. Bob arranges for Alice and Carla to wait at their window for the eagles. Bob and his other friends will simultaneously attack the castle to distract Mallory from the eagles swooping. Alice and Bob are finally reunited when the eagles land near Bob's camp. So if eagles are good enough for Tolkien, they're good enough for me. Now Alice is going to forever use her private key for all her letters. So in conclusion, a one-time pad is completely secure forever. If it's used correctly, that's not a small consideration because it would be easy to screw it up. Symmetric encryption is fast and very secure, but key transfer is a problem. Asymmetric encryption, easy key transfer, but there's this potential for some mathematical breakthrough to render all your data visible to the world. And hashes are good for integrity and non-repudiation. The other thing, this isn't really a general security talk, this is about cryptography, but obviously if your device is being compromised in some way, it's not going to help at all how much encryption you do on your messages, because people can just read everything straight off your device. So mostly I used applied cryptography by Bruce Schneier. I'm sure most of you have heard of that. The all-in-one CISSP exam guide by Sean Harris, which is very good. Engineering Information Security by Stuart Jacobs, who was one of my lecturers when I did my master's. He's also very good. Obviously, I used Wikipedia a lot. And I want to give a special mention to Cryptonomicon by Neil Stevenson, which I didn't actually use for this, but it's the best novel ever written about cryptography, and you should totally read it. So, any questions?
Come on, someone wants me to repeat what PDKDF stands for.
Do it.
Why does yeah, so like a lot of HTTPS like relies on like ARC4 and other, like how do one choose which schemes to use for like a TLS connection? Like what are the driving factors that cause that choice?
So it's really a question of what websites and browser manufacturers are going to agree on. It's not really in your independent control unless you're communicating only with your own website, but then you probably shouldn't use SSL at all.
Counter. There are established standards, mostly verified and ratified by NIST. They specify a minimum cipher suite, which is what TLS really kind of does. It's not about specifying new crypto, it's about agreeing to certain kinds of ciphers and cipher modes that are acceptable right now for today's computational capability of breaking. So when they put out a standard, what it tends to be is, we're pretty sure these are good.
So do people actually stick to that standard?
No.
Oh.
And there are some great attacks.
There's a surprise.
Do you trust this? Trust this? Being part of the government.
Well, yeah, I mean, everything in the security field is kind of questionable these days. As I have mentioned this to a lot of people, it doesn't matter how paranoid you are, you're not paranoid enough.
Hey, Gavin.
One. Notes going to be online. I'd like to get the references together.
Yeah, I will put it online later on.
One positive thing is the end of July, beginning of August, a bill passed the House and then the Senate that separated the required consultation from NSA to NIST.
One second. Hold on,
I tried to do that.
Sorry. Here you go.
Hi, my name is Scott. I used to work in hardware cryptography. One good piece of news, sir, in the blue shirt with the 02, yeah, is that there's a bill that passed the House and the Senate that breaks the requirement for NIST to have required consultation from NSA, required consultation. Their store, of course, will be back channel from DISA and Geospatial on their standards.
So they're not required to, but who knows if they really are still consulting, right?
Right now, they are legally required to.
Yeah.
There's a bill that's going to go before the executive branch to be signed.
So the president says it's a national security issue here, and they'll continue to consult, I assume. They're really not. That's what happened.
So that's actually the biggest advantage to open public competition in cryptography, where you have to be able to put it out there and say to the top 20 crypto masts in the world, break my shit, and if you can break it, I have a problem. So the question is the US government hiring better cryptographers than the top 20 crypto masts in the world? AES, aka Reindl, went through that process. I'm a huge fan of full competition, full disclosure, let everybody take a chop at it, see where it breaks.
Any other questions?
why then does the NSA consider their like, I don't remember what they call it, but they're like tier 1 algorithms they only use internally, they don't like announce publicly, right? But for some reason they believe that that's better for top secret stuff than these AES standards that are under public scrutiny. Like, do you think that they have justification for that, or is that a weakness in the NSA?
I don't know. I mean, they can afford to hire a lot of like really, really bright people, and you know, they can solve problems by throwing a huge quantity of money at them. That, I mean, there's no open source project in the world that has like 1/1,000,000th of the budget that the NSA has. So, you know, can you really be sure that the open source guys know what they're doing? The NSA doesn't. I don't think you can be sure of that. I mean, the whole thing is very fraught with danger from this point of view, and you know, unless you're going to be like really hardcore and do your one-time pad that you've generated from a radioactive source that you're keeping in your own basements and nobody else could possibly know what the random numbers were that you generated, unless you're going to do that, you know, who knows whether you're really safe or not. Any other questions?
No other questions? Or maybe you run around with the mic some more? All right. Well, thanks, Gavin. We appreciate it. So for those of you who would like to join us, we will be going downstairs to Legal Seafoods. Yes, that's the place of the night, apparently. We'll have a few beers there if you want to continue to join and network and socialize some more. Otherwise, we hope to see the rest of you all at the next security meetup, which will be October 2nd, Thursday night, back here. And please do sign up for the conference on October 21st. 20th? 21st? Monday. Whatever the Monday is in October. That one. Thanks all. See ya. Have a good night.